Despite a brief burst of sunny spring, it's still very cold. So I'm going to make a sake bottle for warming and then some sake beakers. I'll take you through the whole process, but unlike many other projects, I'm not going to trim these pots. Instead, I'm going to roll the rim to create a foot. Stay tuned and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm wedging my clay and I've prepared a larger piece for the sake bottle and a couple of smaller pieces for the beakers. For the bottle, I take the larger piece of clay and I start to center. So once the clay is centered, I flatten the top. I want the diameter to be just a little larger than the diameter of the sake bottle. And now I push down and open out. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not trimming a foot on this pot, so I'm not leaving a lot of clay down there. I compress the base and start to pull up the walls. I start to collar by gently squeezing where I want the neck to start. So occasionally in between collaring in, I pull the neck up a little. And now's a good time to remove any excess water in the base of the bottle. And I'll do that using a sponge on a stick. So now it's more collaring. So just forming the neck. And I want to do this quite gently. I'm going to use my flexible rib to straighten and get a nice curve on the neck. And I trim any excess clay around the base, keeping in mind that I'm not going to trim this pot. I want to make sure that I remove all the clay that I don't need. Now I'm ready to wire through and place the bottle on the wearboard. I set the bottle aside and I'm going to start on the cups. So I'm centering the clay. The cups are going to be quite narrow and tall, so I don't bring the clay out too far. So I push into the clay and open out. And wire through and set aside to dry. So now to finish the sake set. I've dried the pieces to not quite leather hard. That is, I'm still going to be able to gently alter the shapes. So I'm just rolling the bottle very gently on the outer edge of its base, and now I'm just starting to push in on 4 sides. So 2 sides pushing in and then turning the bottle 90 degrees and pushing on the other 2 sides, gently smoothing as I do this. I'll roll a little more on the rim, and then I'll gently push the base up a little. So this is almost creating a foot ring, a very natural, soft foot ring. And that's really all there is to it. Now for the beakers, I'm going to do the same thing. I just gently smooth around the bottom rim and push. I can just use my thumb to push into the base. That creates a bit of a depression or an indentation. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the 4 sides. So I'm just gently squeezing and creating a bit of an indentation. So the moisture content of the clay is really important at this point. So the clay still needs to be somewhat malleable. Although I'm pushing into the 4 sides, the top rim isn't deforming, it's staying quite round. So what I'm aiming for is very natural indentations and very comfortable feel when picking up the cup. And really that's it. It's really so simple. So once I've finished altering these, I'm going to let them dry and then I'm going to bisque fire. I've made a few so I can try out some different glaze treatments. I'm definitely thinking of the matte black again and perhaps some green. So my sake set is finished and I'm gently heating some sake in the jug. It's quite toasty. The cups are perhaps a little bit large. If I made it again, I'd probably go for a slightly smaller cup. Well, this video has been quite an enjoyable one to make. There's something really simple about not having to trim, and something really nice about simply altering thrown forms to make them more usable and tactile. For vessels that do require trimming, check out my T-ball video where I focus on trimming feet. And I've started working on my next video, which kind of keeps this theme going. I'm going to make wine goblets, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my journey back to the 70s. As always, thanks for watching.